In terms of us reorienting ourselves, should we also, when we analyze humanity and we analyze all these gods that we see in all these biblical books, should we also look at humanity being more godlike than the gods, and the gods being more human than humanity?
How this really is all of it is inside of us. So the thing about these holographic, as they call it, holographic realities, is that it can throw you, because not only they're very paradoxical, but a lot of times there's the same thing taking place in multiple instances. And so in this case, it's more of us. I never found, because all of this theism is going on in the body for sure. Like, I can guarantee you that the purest form of this knowledge is happening inside you. So unless, you have great guides, which we did, and we have some even now today, right? It is very difficult to go outside and find the truth. A lot of times you will find everything but the truth trying to go outside yourself. There's literally something that in the initiation, it wants you to figure this out yourself first. And I think this happens because it doesn't want if you're guided, it doesn't want other entities trying to fool you with taking credit for this enlightenment that has been caused, which happens a lot in church. Because if you say anything for 3 hours, you're going to catch the Holy Ghost. More importantly, hallelujah or something like that, you're going to find that you're going to become possessed with whatever is behind that word, because you're just changing the vibration of your whole field, which takes hours because of how dense a person can be. But you're changing the whole vibratory field to that field. And so it's like knocking on a door consistently, and then eventually something just opens up the door, and then now you're there with it. So in this tense, it's definitely I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I'm basically just saying in a nutshell that we have to realize that this wow, what was the question? Wow, I guess it is really getting late. Dang, they just I tried to catch it. It was gone like a dream. It was like
I was asking about reorienting ourselves and looking at the gods as being more human and humans being more God.
Basically, thank you. So what I was saying is that never did I find in any of this occult knowledge that it wasn't happening within, and that the highest levels of initiation that you could reach was contacting all of these family members, beings, forces, etc., inside of yourself. And then realizing actually that all of this is really about how the chakras are positioned, and also what that chakra's specific job is. Because remember, all the chakras got different jobs. The heart is not the spleen is not the kidney is not, but all of them are in agreement, and then they're terminated into the 5. These are known as 5 gods. Even when you get like super third eye open, you look at them and you see faces on the tips of your hands right here. And they have mouths right here where your vortex is. So right where that swirl is, you'll see there's a mouth, there's mouths there, right? Because we command from the 5. This is the hammer. This is the hand. This is what man is. Man means the hand in the ancient culture, right? Because the hand is kind of like, the hand is deep, right? Because it's doing pretty much a lot. It's doing everything, right? There's people who operate without hands, though. But let's just say this is the big part of who we are. But then we got all these other beings, right? The livers, the kidneys, the spleens, ears. All these are entities, right? So when we're looking at the star, we're actually looking at all those millions of different parts and pieces and all that. And some of them are fixed stars. Some of them are big stars. Some of them are suns. And all that is all positioned within the body. And then where you're at is you're like the king of or queen of the universe, right? But your own. So the moment that you go and try to exercise your power over the external realm, you could be thwarted. You could be diminished, because now you literally have to go and compete with the controllers of the external realities. Versus if you go inside, nobody is really impeding you from kicking the front door open of your own consciousness and throwing the whisperer or the jackal or the dweller, or whatever you want to call him today, off your throne, and then seating yourself back into your consciousness, which is, like a dragon master. Like this is like, when Bruce Lee, they were calling the master dragon. You got samurai, and Sam begins with the samurai, and they're warlike, but they have nobility, right? So this comes from like also that the reptilian clans, if you may, there are many of them that operate in honor. And also you can't confuse, and I talked about this before, but you can't confuse a viper for a python, for a boa constrictor. You see what I mean? These are different kind of snakes. And the main thing that I'm bringing up here is that a lot of times, again, we classify, and that's why spirituality is a classification of all the spirits, to let you see what is the difference between spirits. So there is a classification of them. And in this way, you have certain entities that are way more noble, and they also are practicing knowledge and aesthetic themselves. And then you have complete nightmares, right? And everything in between. So that's also like why a person is generally taken through a process of understanding how they need to be prepared for this. And the only way that you're getting prepared for this introduction to the other aspects of self is generally through inside an internal initiation, because a lot of times these beings need to be contained within the dream space. Seeing them in physical realities, it's too much for even the physical consciousness to even be able to withstand. Right. But in the dream space, if you notice, you even are equipped to do things beyond the nightmares. Sometimes you get in a dream and you just got all these powers and abilities, and it's like you even know how to do this. And you can deal with or absorb or go through an experience with certain life forms or whatever, and then come out unscathed and then have the knowledge. So this is the purpose of these dream worlds, and actually understanding how all this stuff is taking place within. Like I also see in many ways, like when I'm telling these stories, I do see segments of me in life, this life, thinking certain ways, certain people I knew, these kind of things. And then so I asked myself, well, why do you have so many resonances? Like you asked me the other day about Zervan, remember? And I was like, it was funny because it kind of caught me in this weird question. I was like, but at the end of the day, what I start seeing is that every life, it's like you're kind of being presented with the same decisions again. And each life, you're kind of given more power or less, because that's when you go down, you're restricted more. Right. Like you actually come under dominion more. That's why the poorer you get, the more people can control you, right? Like the richer or the more sovereign you become, the more power you have, right? So this is like that maintenance that, you got to do on yourself to make sure that you're actually climbing the ladder and not electing other gods, or as it's even mentioned in the Bible, wandering after strange gods. This means setting up like all these strange characters that are supposedly your God and your master, when you were already told, hey, all of it is really happening in here. And the only reason why we use outside, like the reason why we use that is when we're like cross-referencing or checking things that are not easy to discover within, right? Yeah.
So you mentioned you keep talking about us looking outside versus looking inside. I have a question about meditation. When we meditate, we often put up pictures of ancestors, gods, deities, things of that nature. It may be an animal, depending on what culture you were incarnated down here in. How effective would it be, Sevan, if I'm meditating, I'm meditating, and I put up a picture, Sevan, of Brother Rich while I'm meditating? Why? Because this is the avatar that contains everything that I hope to tap into. My ancestors, my mother, my grandmother, my higher self, God, my collective, everything is contained within this avatar. So how effective if I'm looking at myself while I'm meditating as in a picture, Sevan?
I mean, I'm a big fan of self-worship. I actually have gone a little bit more deeper. What I did is I put myself or image of myself into what I call a God box. What a God box is basically where the inside the box is only mirrors. And then when you basically can see yourself across all dimensions, like as far as you can look, you could keep seeing yourself. They call it like an infinity mirror, right?
Yeah.
And also, there's several things that I've created personally that have been able to drive energy back into me. Okay. One of Okay, wow, you on something right here. Okay, I'm gonna give it to you. Right, you ready for it?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what I noticed was, and we have this feature inside of Dream Engine where you can put the face of yourself on another character. You may seen like you generate the body, then you put your face on it, right?
Right.
You've seen some of my pictures like that. I found that was like a whole different level. Because, and I realized how it was happening, because you know me, I got to break it down. But what happens is when people see you, they see you in a certain light.
Yeah.
Okay. Even when you see yourself in the mirror, you see yourself in a certain light.
Yeah.
And when you change up your appearance or your regalia, you feel that way. It's like you dressing up in, you know, whatever you call it, like you're down, you know, the tuxedos or whatever it is, your dashiki or whatever, where you know, okay, it's prom night, basically. Yeah. And then you kind of see yourself in that light, right? So imagine having all these images that was you depicted in this higher light. What I believe happens is not only when people see those images, they start projecting, I can prove this is real. They start projecting like, oh, that's him. And they lose that idea of the lowly version of you that they're so familiar with. Yeah. And they install this new projection in their mind. So every time they see you as that and not as like this normal person, right?
Right.